done any of that prep work yet.
That's all right.
Getting there. We'll see what happens.
That's the best way to. That's actually, I think, the phrase for this moment. We'll see what
Fuck
happens.
it. We'll do it live.
Yeah.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Or fuck it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Fuck it. We'll see what happens. We haven't tried this before. We may as well try this.
Yeah.
Who's going to tell me no?
Were you on Zev's 7-minute intro the other night of like, fuck it, we'll do it live?
No, that's fantastic. See, so everyone is in the same milieu without realizing it.
Yes.
It's the synchronicity of fuckery.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're on Substack with us, you might be. Oh shit, there we are. We are on Substack.
No, that's great. That's great.
Sweet. Hey y'all, what's up, friends? It's Friday afternoon. We're doing something new. I'm Nick Pero. This is Banner and Backbone, bringing a new discussion. Let me see if I can actually pull our names up too.
Ooh.
I feel like they should be on here. Names on. Look at that. Yeah. Okay, fancy. Hey y'all, I'm Nick Pero, not your dad, here on Banner and Backbone with my friends, your weirdo friend, they, them, Dr. Weirdo. Sounds like a Doctor Who episode.
And all the better.
See, Doctor Who is transgender, aren't they? Because they fluctuate between genders and they're fluid and they don't care. And so, hey,
Doctor Who is gender expansive for definite, right? Like the whole energy around regeneration is such a beautiful metaphor for trans identity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. Okay, Dr. Weirdo. Welcome to the fight. We need a new superhero. Then we got Jack, our trans big brother, out in Canada. Also, both Jack and Weirdo stuck out in Canada. I'm the only one who's stuck here in the US. They're free in Canada, away from the fascism that we got, but we want them back. Like, my goal is them come back. I want them both back. They're awesome. I want them both to come back so I can have coffee and like tacos and go out to Asian food with them and enjoy friends who are awesome, because they're not welcome in the US right now, and that's really fucking bad. So, hey, what's up, you guys? We're going to talk about parallel systems and how we develop them. And Weirdo, you're an expert on this. You're turning yourself into an expert on this too.
I appreciate that framing. I think, I am practicing an intense curiosity about parallel systems of support.
I'm going to go put my dogs out real quick. They are whining in the background too.
Yeah, and now my dog, it's funny.
Mine is going off too. Yeah.
Fantastic. See, this is the chorus of the dog. So while we are, headed into parallel systems of support, and Jack, feel free to jump in and tell me what you think about this. But one of the things that I wanted to suggest is that parallel systems of support are not necessarily new. They are a form of pre-political, pre-electoral resistance that it involves intentionally reweaving the fabric of community so that political abusers cannot divide you. And that has been the case historically through Mahatma Gandhi using them in the salt mine protests, to trans-American folks like Marsha P. and Sylvia Rivera using them in STAR to take care of homeless transgender youth. Parallel systems of support were also used in the civil rights movement to be the bulwark of helping the resistance stay alive and the fight for freedom stay alive. There are many ways in which parallel systems of support have been used throughout history in collective liberation movements. So the things that I am saying and sharing with you are not original content so much as me going spelunking through not just the archives, but the ways that people talk about how we can support each other, because there's no way to get through this moment without a massive cooperation with our neighbors rooted in compassion and solidarity. So that's my hot take on parallel systems of support. Back to you, Jack.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll expand on what our friends are saying too. I have the special privilege as both being someone who's benefited from parallel systems of support in my early life, right? And then has also been able to be a strong advocate and someone who can help build what's needed for the parallel system of support as a nurse. So the good empowering joke in nursing school that we all tell each other is, if a plane is going down, who do you want on board? A doctor or a nurse? You want the nurse, because the doctor knows that if someone needs to take their inhaler and doesn't have a spacer, like they need the spacer, right? They're in a panic, doesn't know what to do if there's no spacer available. The nurse knows to grab a water bottle, cut it open in a specific way, turn it into a chamber in order to give that medication, right? So I want to make sure that folks in the chat know that if they have ideas and they don't know how to go about doing them, to just throw that idea out there. And hopefully there is a nurse in the chat, or there's someone who works in IT, because I don't know how to build apps, right? But I have ideas that I can throw in the chat and be like, hey, I don't know how to do this, but if there's someone with a broken bone and maybe we all forgot first aid and how to build a splint and how to reset bones, I can help with those things. And that's the support that I bring into the parallel system, where I need the support from those in the system to defend trans rights all the time, because I'm not there every time to kind of help be like, no, if you let people continue to misgender or scapegoat the trans community, then this trans nurse isn't around to help reset your bone. So that's what I need.
And this trans community college professor isn't able to help their community ground and help collaborate neighbors. And I think that is the point. I think that one of the reasons why fascists go after immigrants, go after Black people, go after trans people, is because these are I'm not saying the only, but three movements of marginalized people who understand how to move around institutions and toward our collective liberation. And that is exactly why we are threatening to them.
I see a question in the chat. If we could give an example of a parallel system.
Sure.
I don't mind the piano that might start playing in the background. I have a toddler toddling around and playing on it, so don't mind if there's music that comes out in the background.
Well, that music in the background should be what we are all sort of grounding ourselves in, right? So in a moment of where people are trying to pull us into depravity, reminders of our humanity are wonderful, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about parallel systems of support, I think that the image that I want to put in your head, and you can have other ones, is something like a flower, like a daisy with the center, where engaged neighbors are in the center, and then everyone's different time and talents and resources are poured into different campaigns that they can use to give back to each other what fascists are trying to take away. So if they're trying to take away your housing, your right to safe passage, your right to medical care, right? Your right to a creative spirit, your right to access to food, these types of things, that you pool your resources together and you work together as a hive to give each other that. So it's a bit different than mutual aid, which focuses on a smaller group of people in an affinity group, whereas parallel systems of support are really learning how to organize yourself like I don't want to say, I know that Gene Sharp refers to them as soldiers of peace, right? Like that are, but that may not necessarily be the image you want in your head of soldiers. So you could say work like a hive. And so it's really just recognizing that fascism is domestic abuse at scale. You can look at the Duluth wheel of power and control to notice how everything that a domestic abuser takes away from his targets, that is exactly what is happening at scale to us as a nation. And then it's saying, okay, how do we build a system around this? How do we build a more compassionate pattern? And in so doing, remove these people's ability to divide us and to make us desperate.
Yeah. And for me, jumping in here is, I think it's important that I be part of this conversation and be available for this, because I need groups like me who are straight looking or straight passing, who are white, who have a lot of privilege right now, need to be the ones putting ourselves in the positions to support and making it very known our position, like loudly and clearly and all the time. And I know I make that pretty clear. Like Weirdo and I have discussions about this too, on places that I can improve, on places that we all can improve, or where we might be failing. And I don't ask Weirdo for feedback on that. They just give it to me, and I appreciate it because it's needed, because I want to be the best ally I can. And right now, allyship isn't just talking, it's acting, and it's providing space for these discussions. And
I love it. No, this is great. It's like
It's
the
great.
emotional
Yeah,
buildup.
yeah, and hopefully it's not too loud for y'all. I want to give the space that I can, so that these discussions can take place, and so that I know that the actions I'm taking aren't destructive to the communities that I'm trying to help. And that's really the big piece of all of this. Is I could be out here advocating for things that I've been taught historically, say gun rights advocates, and the Second Amendment is a really big one. But I'm not advocating for violence. I'm never advocating for the use of guns, and I advocate against things like that. Because I know if I were to advocate for it, some white kid would take that privilege and cause a civil war, and it would hurt a lot of people. And it wouldn't be the white people first, and if it is, it would be the minority groups. And I'm not willing to take that risk for other people. And I think that's the most important thing I can help do, is ensure that others aren't jumping down that step of risk without first understanding who it will impact.
Yeah.
And I'll add to that too, real quick. I'm just gonna jump back onto that daisy, right? That we were talking about, the daisy chain we all need to make. So, in the middle, right, you have, let's make it really, really small, just for folks in the audience to be able to maybe start your own little daisy chain, right? To build your own parallel system. Let's take your block, for example, right? That's the middle of the daisy, the block you live on right now. We need to put more petals on this flower, right? So each petal could be, I'm a nurse and a wound care expert. That's my petal. If anyone on my block, right, is in pain or hurt, I'm their guy, right? Someone else on the block may be a seamstress and they know how to make clothing. So they can put clothes on the backs of everyone, right, in the middle of that daisy, on that block. Maybe someone else really knows how to cook, and they can take on the burden of making the food so everyone else has time to make the clothing or heal the sick, right? And that's what they do, is they make the food for the folks on the block. Maybe someone else has a garden and a good green thumb. The folks that are out there making the food don't have time to grow it, but the folks that know how to grow food, and that's what they could do, is be in their garden all day long, and that's their passion, that's what they love. That's their parallel to the grocery store. So we don't need to worry about getting fruits and veggies at the grocery store, right? Maybe someone else has some chickens and they just want to pour their energy into tending to their hens and producing eggs for their block. And then once the block is fed, we can expand and see if any other daisy, the block next to us, our neighbor across the street, needs more eggs. If someone's hurt, can I help? Because I've taken care of my block, my daisy is blooming, can I lend to the garden?
And building on that, especially on the egg thing and the chicken thing, because food is a huge part of parallel systems. Like, food scarcity is going to be a huge issue if our institutions collapse. When institutions collapse, food scarcity, resource scarcity becomes a thing. Yes, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, I turned the volume down so you weren't so loud. That's all. You're fine. Play the piano. Is like, one of the things too is, if you're financially better off than, say, others in your community, help buy chickens, help buy seed, help buy the tools that other people who might be good at something can use to then use it. Or if you need vertical gardens in your community, those are really good indoor growth opportunities for everyone. And then you can pile your resources together, or you can have someone buy 3 or 4 and turn a room into a vertical garden greenhouse. And no, it's not illegal to grow your own food. Just don't start growing illegal shit. Like, it's easy to grow good stuff. You can put up a neighborhood, and especially if you're in an HOA that, say, you're on the board of, you can put funding towards community gardens.
Yep.
To community spaces, and you can purposely make your HOA or POA or whatever system you're forced to live into a community centered area that everyone wants to be at, and say, hey, instead of buying security cameras that we don't need, let's buy land and we use this spot that we said was going to be a green space that nobody ever uses. Let's turn it into a community garden, and everybody has access to it. Who wants to run? Who wants to help run it? You will find volunteers. And it pushes people further away from the ledge of violence and wanting to tend towards violence. Because the more democracy is, like Weirdo, you said, and I hate the phrase, but I'm glad you said it because it's so impactful, is that fascism is domestic abuse at scale, whereas democracy, in my opinion, is community at scale. And when we have community systems that work, we have democracy that works, because people feel like they are included. When you feel included, you want to give back to your community. And so we have to start local. And so we're building the foundations. Why are we doing parallel systems instead of vertical systems? As our friend Christina asked in the chat, Christina, you're awesome. Thanks for asking that question. It's a really good one, because you can't make vertical systems without parallel systems in place. They fall apart.
Right. And if you are interested in learning about why parallel systems of support are so important, too, one, if you're talking about an authoritarian system, the moment that your movement creates a head, the authoritarian will seek to lob it off. But if you create dispersed networks of support, it is very hard for them to quash decentralized networks of support. And if you're interested in learning how to create parallel systems of support at scale, you could spend time with, although I would recommend checking out the library, and I personally think that Marshall Gans should be making this work free in this moment of polycrisis, but there is a book called People, Power, and Change that talks about how even in simple groups of 3, people can expand from there and create, communities of care that manifest themselves as parallel systems of support. I also do want to add to these parallel systems of support that in at least the version that I am articulating, I would also include public art of various forms as a contribution to parallel systems of support. If you are a spiritual elder or an emotional healer or a doula of grief or someone who does body work, that is a parallel system of support, because we need containers to alchemize our strong emotions and to confront white Christian nationalism on a unified scale. Amplifying the voices of the youth through giving them platforms to express themselves and their visionary voices is a form of a parallel system of support, right? There are, and creating regular social gatherings in your communities, just for the sole purpose of bringing people together to celebrate your community and your connection, contributes to a sense of parallel systems of support, because fascism relies on loneliness. So I know that sometimes when we get into situations of crisis, it can be very easy to dismiss the people who are contributing the soft power of community movements, but those are just as important as the material resources. So I just want to emphasize this. And I'm not saying that I have like a whole system in place, but I do have a rough articulation of what that more expansive view of parallel systems of support look like. And I'm sure we can potentially at some point link to it in the show notes. So, but just understand that every single person has something to contribute to this moment. There was a person that I talked to who was listening to me back when I was literally recording my podcast in my friend's mom's basement bathroom. That's a lot to say. Anyway, this person was listening to me and she said, it wasn't until you started talking about, I realized, oh, like I can can food. And I realized that I had a skill set that I didn't realize that I had, that I could contribute to a pro-democracy movement. And it moved that woman, not just from a bystander, but to somebody now who is like actively involved in her community and not only talking about building parallel systems of support, but talking about how we can support each other too. So in presenting people with a map to work together, you sort of ignite their agency and you allow them to realize that they can move from a bystander to an active participant in ending this domestic abuse at scale that we are all experiencing now. And I will shut up now.
Jack, I love that comment. She became an upstander, and
we need people to stand up.
Yeah.
Not stand by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actions right now, not just words. And so part of building parallel systems too is building a new media sphere and new media areas, which is what we're doing. Not so much independent media. Independent media is all of us. We're all independent in some way. But we need a new media ecosystem where people can get reliable information that is trusted, that is fact-based, that is unbiased and not phobic of people and dismissive of people. And what I've started to realize is, and I think would be the best approach for like, once we can get past the community and move into the actual governmental aspects of parallel systems, is using the example of, say, the Black Panthers in Philadelphia and how the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro, could support a parallel system of community by just listening to what the Black Panthers and those communities who are being oppressed are asking for, and then responding to those and not making up or answers without actually going to the source. So you create, and I'm not advocating for things like carrying guns around. I'm not going to. I think that's stupid. It's escalatory. Unless you have to. Like, there's some reasons why you have to, and I get what the Black Panthers are doing because they're making a very powerful statement that we are allowed to own guns too. And in a movement where white supremacists are trying to take your guns, I get it, but I'm not going to do it because I have more influence just by the color of my skin and the actions I make than most Black people do. And that's not something I'm proud of. Like, I don't want to have more influence just because I'm white. I want to be able to shut up and get out of the way and other people be able to be important. But he could just listen to that community system.
If I could jump in.
Go ahead, Jack.
I think I can. So I understand why the Black Panther Party carries guns on them while they're public facing doing their work.
Mm-hmm.
They are a minority group and they have them on them not as a not to provoke but to deter.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying folks should get guns to deter. What I'm saying is I completely agree with you. Like, Governor Shapiro should listen to the Black Panther Party, who one of their main missions is creating that parallel system of giving free school lunch to the kids in their neighborhood so they go to school and can learn without hunger in their belly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of times folks will like look to a minority group that has done a lot of great work for their community, but also has had to take up arms for fear of death by the Klan, who is running the government right now. And they forget to like look past the guns and be like, okay, what are they actually doing? What is the system? And I think that's what you're getting to, Nick. Instead of the governors allowing the media to run wild, showing photos of Black men with guns, not holding their guns, but their guns are strapped to them legally in a way that they're allowed to carry in their state. That's where the story ends, instead of like expanding on all of the parallel systems already in place.
Yeah.
that just need to be expanded now. And
So
we keep trying to reinvent a wheel that's already built.
So let's take the food example, because that's a powerful parallel system that we could all participate in.
Yeah.
Food scarcity is a thing. If you're really good at cooking and you know how to make mass batches of things, imagine
Oatmeal, porridge.
imagine if you made lunches for every kid in the neighborhood. Imagine if that was part of, like, that was something you enjoy doing, is you love to cook at scale. You don't want to do it professionally, but you love doing it and you know you're good at it. You grow gardens in your community has built the foundations around you. You then take those foundations and give it back by feeding every child in your neighborhood. That can then expand to other systems. This is how co-op grocery stores founded. This is how co-op, like, farms are founded. Like, co-op systems are parallel systems at scale that have been corporatized. Like, you don't need to corporatize yourself to do a parallel system, but you can solve the hunger problem and then say, hey, government, we're doing this. If you assist us and build it at scale, we can reproduce this for other communities en masse. And we offer the solution rather than saying, hey, there's a problem that needs to be fixed. If we can finally just come and say, hey, I see the problem that the Black Panthers are asking for. They want food. They want their kids fed. They want their kids to be able to learn. Okay, well, here's the solution. Here is a solution that we're presenting. If this works, can we use it? If it doesn't, let's move on. And I think that's where parallel systems are better, because they're more responsive, because they are fed and fueled by us. And Weirdo, I want your thoughts on that, because I know, like, the Second Amendment is something you talk a lot about, and I want to make sure that what I'm also talking about doesn't endanger you guys, like the two of you. I don't want to endanger either of you in having these types of discussions, but also in then furthering these types of discussions and where I can go on them. And I want to be able to check myself.
So, I mean, I'm just one person, right? So I am not I am not the Lorax for trans people, but though sometimes it feels, anyway, my
Speaking for the
point
trees.
here is that what I would wish and like to manifest in new media is that we could have a system, we could have a conversation about parallel systems of support, about this moment, without bringing up the imagery of weapons to begin with. And part of the reason why I am saying that is I also want to amplify voices like former Black Panther Speaks. This is a man who is at least in his 70s, who is a Vietnam veteran, who has instructed people to understand that the methods, we can't just simply time travel and pluck methods from a different time with different technology and assume that they are going to do the same kind of work. And as I have said repeatedly, bringing guns to a drone fight is a very bad idea, especially when you have white Christian nationalists who are itching to kill people. And also, as a transgender person, I personally, and I'm only one, but I would personally prefer to have conversations in which my voice is simply associated with helping other people, so that I do not contribute, even if I have never said a word about guns, that I don't contribute to this image that white Christian and nationalists have been itching to create, which is the trans shooter. And so for me, I find myself rhetorically frustrated by this moment where every time we focus on parallel systems of support, somebody has to bring up guns. And I think the reason why I want to go back to this, and I'm saying this from a place of my own perspective and the perspectives of the people that I read, but I also think that there are many ways to amplify your power and your voice as a marginalized person without carrying a weapon. And I think, frankly, carrying a weapon is not the powerful amplification of voice that people think that it is. And I think that even if someone is doing it in a liberatory context, there is always the risk that it may be misused and used as pretext, because we have seen even in the build up to this awful moment that we're all in now, that a fascist enforcement of law has always used even people who are legally carrying firearms as a pretext to annihilate people after the fact, right? So
Yeah.
for me, it's just really rife with a lot of situations. And also I'd say too that though my own familial situation was certainly not blessed, I did learn one thing from my father, who was a Green Beret. He would not even let us have squirt guns in the house, or any kind of play firearm. And that is because I think for many people who talk about weaponry, they have never experienced the gore of killing other human beings, or of seeing the way that civil war plays out on a scale where you cannot control the blast radius, and it is going to include children, it is going to include people with disabilities, and it will absolutely include vulnerable people first. And I think sometimes when people move in their amygdala and they're angry at the situation, it is very easy to bring in the image of guns, which is really a response to an agitation, instead of turning away from being agitated and making the actual plans that are going to keep our communities actually safe for a sustainable period of time. And that was a lot of words. And so I shall cede the rest of my time.
I think that was fantastic. And thank you for saying that. And what I will say too, going forward, so that we do create an environment that is free of that, is we won't talk about guns here in any context, unless it's somebody got hurt and we need to address a situation that like immediately happened. But you're right, they're not needed. And everything we had talked about at the beginning of this discussion and throughout this entire discussion so far has been around systems of help, systems that benefit, systems that add to the environment you're in a positive way. Guns are only destructive. That's literally their purpose, is to destroy something, to kill it. That's their single purpose. That cannot be used positively in a parallel system that we are trying to build, because we're trying to not be in a fascist society that uses violence as a tool of oppression and anger and aggression as a tool of oppression. I'd rather anger be used as a tool for learning, where when you get angry and something happens, you can self-assess, or you have the space to understand that what you did caused harm, and then try and correct that harm, or have that person cut you out of their life entirely because it's needed. But that, like, none of this requires violence. And in fact, the only way we really win is nonviolence. The only way we win this, because winning means not just getting through. Winning means that Weirdo and Jack get to come home and don't have to come out every day in America to explain their personhood. Winning means I don't have to be out here telling, and I get to choose to be out here telling people good, positive, intelligent masculinity, and breaking down those shitty, toxic masculinity views. Like, to me, that's what winning is we move forward. And the Second Amendment's a legacy amendment. I'm sorry. It's not really useful. It never has been. It's never been a useful thing.
Other countries are thriving without it.
Yeah, the most useful amendment we have is the first, because that allows us to freely speak our minds up until the point of somebody else's nose, because you don't get to impose your views on top of people. And this is a way that we get to unimpose our view, because who doesn't want to grow a garden together? Like, you'll find so much more in common with your neighbors if you walk over to them and you go, hey, do you want to grow a garden in the community with me? Like, let's just all get together and grow a garden. I bet you'll find so much more in common with them than disparate. Like, we're more the same. And that's what parallel systems bring, because then we can build the vertical system on top of it. And this takes a lot. It's cultural, it's familial, it's communal. Like we have to take these ideas and be on offense on all fronts. Um, and I use on offense because it's offense isn't violent. Offense is just forward movement and defending and protecting and being for something, not against, not just against. I'm against fascism, but I'm for equity and equality. And I am for communal systems because they work. We know they work. We've seen them work throughout all of our history. We just were told that they don't need to be there anymore. Again, we've been lied to, at least in my opinion.
No, you're
So,
totally right, Nick. And it has been a great lie too. And I see it, especially. I've been lucky enough to not have spent every waking moment of my life in the United States growing up. So I was able to see parallel systems at play in Portugal as a kid. Um, and it was, the one elder in the family that still had owned the villa and lived in the villa had a giant garden, and that's what us kids did for fun, was run around picking heads of lettuce and going and getting the eggs, out of the hen coop. So for those of you that have land and are ready to be your town elder and start building that little villa, do it. Don't wait and try and find plots of land that you don't already own. If you own land, invite your neighbors over to your yard and build on your land. Be your town hall. It is informal. You don't need to do anything. Just be like, hey, everyone come over and hang. We're going to plow this weekend. And that's a great way to get anger out, is plowing some dirt, right? So it's a great way. And then you start getting creative and someone will start whistling and maybe someone else knows how to make music and maybe there's a guitar on the inside and you're building community and you're not lonely anymore. Because it gets lonely. I love talking to Nick, love talking to Weirdo on a screen. What I love more is going on the hiking trail that's right behind, right outside my RV, and going for a walk and seeing who else is out there and making friends and saying hello to strangers and being I'm in a new neighborhood, so I'm really not anything here, but I am a trans voice that can stand up for trans rights without outing myself all the time. Or I out myself sometimes too when they really need to learn the lesson and be like, hey, you're being a bigot, right, to someone's face, and you don't even realize it. But that's being the elder in town, and then they'll think twice, or maybe they'll share the knowledge that I gave them, right? Because that's what I can provide right now in the area that I'm in until I, find work so I can help my community. I can make sure the Maple MAGA movement or whatever the fuck it is here doesn't take off by
yeah.
showing them what trans people look like and how they're conflating the artistic expression of drag with the lived experience of trans people.
Yeah. And the best part about parallel systems is you get to be redundant in them. That's the whole point. The whole point is it's not a failure point of one. It's decentralized networks. Like if you're a techie, if you like tech, it's crypto in real personhood. Like it's that decentralized platform you've always wanted in person. Like that's what you're actually looking for is that. You're looking for that decentralized network. That's your community. That's your neighbors, 5 houses. That's the 5 houses around you that see you all the time and interact with you and walk by you and you say hi to. Say more than hi to them. Mm-hmm. Talk to them for 10 minutes. Just talk to them.
And I need our techie friends to reach out to our Jamaican neighbors and ask them about bridging water, electricity and stuff, because I don't know how to do that, or anyone that's an electrician and knows about that stuff, because I'm not saying we need to do it, but it is, it's nice to keep the lights on, and if we could figure out how by people that have already figured it out, that's just bearing. We don't have to use it, but we can learn it.
And there's a great thing about being a media host is I have this cool platform where I can record videos and have friends record videos that we can do instructional videos on and decentralize ourselves that way. And so if you are a techie, if you are an electrician, if you're a plumber, if you are somebody who has a skill and you just want to put up a 5-minute video of here's how to do this small, simple thing, record it. You could, if you're part of Banner and Backbone already, just let me know and I'll get you in and you can record a video and we post it everywhere and we just get it out there and you take those learning opportunities and you spread them. That's the important part, is not just learn here and go, ooh, I feel better. I know what a parallel system is. After this conversation, go walk outside for 5 minutes if you're in a neighborhood and go say hi to someone. Just go say hi to someone. Talk to them. Doesn't matter who it is. If there's someone in your neighborhood, just go say hi. You'll probably make a friend. Don't ask what their political views are. Don't ask any of that. Just go up and say, hey, how's your day going? I see you out. It's a beautiful day right now. How's it going? If they got a dog, ask about their dog.
Ask them about their hobbies. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Nick, ask them about their hobbies. Because if people ask me about my hobbies, I always go, I love to knit. I love to, I was late because I was working on my stitches.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. A little preview for
that's
everyone.
So pretty.
But, by me sharing that, folks in the neighborhood just learned that I can stitch. So I can stitch clothing, I can stitch skin. Right? I can stitch. I know how. Just by someone asking me what's my hobbies. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna interject. Yeah, you guys have said so much, and I'm trying to weave it together here. My husband is somebody who's a bit shy and a little bit. I don't want to say he's not. I don't want to say he's not a joiner, but I think that it wasn't until I frequently partner with people who find themselves to be not joiners until they end up partnering with me. I think people who are not joiners are often drawn towards people who are. Mm-hmm. But there's value in hearing from his perspective, because one of the things that he shares is that one of the things that is making people reticent about whether parallel systems of support will work is the lack of social proof. And so one of the things that I would recommend is to consider moving beyond just your neighborhood block eventually and creating some kind of pop-up neighborhood union just in your zip code with your +4 number. Give yourselves a cute little club name and make it be a hub. Think about it as an in-person Craigslist. I think that I like that better than Bitcoin because I don't understand Bitcoin, but going in there and being like, hey, we've got this scrappy little mascot name and hey, does somebody need this? Does somebody have that? And I think that it's very natural to also include in this, once you scale up, a time bank that also includes a tool bank and a skills bank. So that what you're doing is you're creating a neighborhood club where, one, the time that you give and becomes its own currency. Every person's, every hour is the same, right? And also how that hour is spent in service to community, none is better than the other. But then creating a crowdsourced shared library, a crowdsourced shared tool bank, and it doesn't necessarily have to be all in one place. It's actually best if it is displaced, because then it makes it harder for people to target. And then you are keeping track of who has what on the back end so you can help each other, right? And then returning to the gardening stuff, you don't even need to have, when people think land, they think of plains. So when I lived in a house, I used my front yard as a garden, and I didn't even plow for 2 reasons. One, because you want to kind of keep the ecosystem in the soil. It's better to build beds on top of the soil that you have using something called lasagna gardening that includes layers. And the reason for that is because then you never have to plow and it creates its own ecosystem of soil. And so that's just a thing to sort of keep in mind. And on top of that, because I had that front yard garden, it was a little jarring to me as a semi-introvert, but people started walking up to me and being like, hey, what are you going to grow this season? Or I would be out on a run and someone would be like, you're the gardener. What are you? And I'm like, oh my God. But the thing, so, on one hand, maybe too much attention for me, but at the same time, it was really helpful because it really drew people to it. And also after I did that, at least 3 other neighbors came up to me and said, "You've given me permission to do this in my yard. I've always wanted to do this." And the more people who do this, whether in their front or backyards, follow the sun, right? Then the better. And I also just want to add that, and I say this from and pointing out the settler colonialism of the United States. Grass is actually a remnant of settler colonialism that was used to say, "See these lawns that are pristine? We have so much wealth that we do not need to use our land." I swear to God that that's what it's about. And so one of the ways of resisting settler colonialism and terraforming and white supremacy is to reclaim those green spaces that you think that you have to kill with, whatever stuff that you're doing to your lawn to poison all the pollinators, and just share food with people and teach the kids how to grow it. And to use things like companion planting and native plants that are indigenous to the soil that improve soil conditions and improve the environment for pollinators. There are so many things that we can do, and they are not that hard. We just need to come together like a symphony.
Yeah. And
And
if you have
Go,
other
sorry.
skills like technical skills, like internet stuff, and how to manage networks, build a mesh network and expand it out, expand it through your neighborhood, have a VPN on it, allow people to have guest access for it, have a guest network that requires a neighborhood password and is behind a VPN. If you have the ability to share your network, do that. Share your actual physical internet that is safe. Like, I plan on, if I have the ability, if my internet is good enough when I move here soon, is I'm going somewhere slightly more rural. Is imagine what would happen if I could say to my neighbors, "Hey, I've got this really great internet that spans 300 acres, let's say. Just goes from my acreage down the road into town. I just found little plugins and put solar spots out and just put my own little Wi-Fi mesh network up for the community." And so you never even have to leave the safety of that network to access the internet. And so if you know how to do things like that, do that. Work with each other. Build systems. If multiple people in your neighborhood have mesh Wi-Fi routers, route them together into a single network, into a single neighborhood network. So easy. And then you can be safe. You can offer safety and security to people without having to physically do it. And so you can use your wealth or your access to do that. And like Weirdo said, that is equally as important as growing food. That is equally as important as being able to sew. All of these skills are equally important because we live in a 21st generation society, century society. We live in a tech-filled society. We have to use the tools available to us. We can't use 1900s, 1800s tools. We have the internet, so we may as well use it. And if you can buy data center equipment and you want to start your own little data center, do it.
Yeah.
Get some solar panels, buy some data storage units, and make your own little data center that can securely and safely hold and back up videos and archive and information and documents and articles, and then make it available for others to put into.
Yes. Can I also add too, because you have such skills that I admire. So like other things that you can do too is, at this moment, so I've talked to some folks, and Nick, I don't know your background, but it sounds like you are really deep in computers, and I love that. I've heard from people that it may be advantageous for people to consider, and I want to know what your take is on this, consider installing Linux on their computers instead of something like Microsoft or Apple, because it might harden off your computer to shenanigans. Is that true, or does it really not matter?
So Linux itself, yes,
Linux.
is
the Penguin.
Yeah, the Penguin. Linux itself is an open source operating system that has been community developed and community driven. That's not always a good thing.
Okay.
Linux itself is fairly secure if you know what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you leave yourself exposed to even more vulnerabilities and loopholes. So unless you're really good at systems administration, specifically Linux administration, which is an entire degree basically in software engineering and software field, and you have to become a subject matter expert at it to like be really good at it, is if you have a good system already, like a stable operating system already, I would stay with it, and I would add additional features on that are not operating system specific, such as Incogni or Delete Me to delete your internet data and data bank sites on black markets, or sorry, not black markets, dark markets and trafficking markets. I don't like black market because it definitely implies racism. And I'm trying to check myself on ableist language that I use so that I don't, so that I'm better. It's a fun journey. This is all an interesting journey. But like another way to harden yourself is to, is VPNs, have a dedicated VPN for yourself, have it on every device that you use. Turn it on and keep it on. Don't turn it off. Turn it, if you can customize your location, to somewhere else in the country that is not where you actually are.
Oh, dude, I'm never actually in the country that I'm in.
Mine is not in the region that I'm in.
Yeah, mine's always somewhere like in Europe or South America.
I keep the same country just because I don't want like my Netflix to accidentally change to a Netflix that I can't control. Though I have turned it to Japan.
Netflix is better everywhere else.
Oh, I turned it to Japan specifically because you can get different anime on Japanese Netflix. So if you have a VPN, this is also how you get to access websites from different countries and see what their information looks like.
That's how you can actually see the news.
Yeah, this is how you build a parallel system that has redundancy in it, is allowing yourself to then see outside of your own community.
Yeah. And for sure, I want to like go loop back to some of the things that you said, because I know for like some people, when they hear all that technological stuff, and it legit, that they're thinking, oh, that's fine. I just need to say the old prayer and sacrifice something to Cthulhu to figure out how to do this, right? And so one of the things that you can do, I don't know, some sort of, like say the old spells or whatever the hell, I don't know, witchcraft to do it. If you don't know how to do that, you could be using your literacy to then make these tech clubs in your neighborhood for people who do not have that literacy and help set them up. Because there's a friend of mine who is a retired Quaker pastor or minister, I don't know. And I had to walk him through how to set up Signal, right? He did not know how. He did not know what an encrypted email is. So even if you have like a local Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts club, or if you want to create a technical Scouts club or technological first aid, you can not only help them to build that skill set, but you could also be people who are helping create instructional videos for people to understand how to use federated forms of social media like Mastodon and PeerTube, and a few other places, because it is entirely possible and things like Upscroll, it is entirely possible that if we do not give people the skills to migrate to federated social media, we could be in a pickle. So it's always good to duplicate and be redundant in your content, because it's just worth pointing out that Substack is owned by techno-fascists. Andreessen is on this board, various other people. They're already shadow banning content here. Stripe itself has been labeling trans people as black hat content, meaning that they're like adult content. I have had people who have to take pictures of their face to be able to get into my Substack lives, because my very trans presence, at least on lives, can sometimes be seen as like adult content when I'm literally just speaking like this. So it is so very important for people to understand that every technological platform owned by a venture capitalist is an empire built on sand.
Yeah. And we need to be building on something a lot more sturdy than sand, which is what we're starting. These are the foundations for parallel systems. And in a 21st century world, we need to be doing this together, from tech to food, from tech to farming, from tech to sewing, from tech to cooking, from tech to everything. Tech has to be in there too, because it's not going away. And if we turn ourselves into primitives on purpose, then we lose. Because if you take away the tools that you have available to you, you're never going to win a fight. You're never going to go on offense and win. Like, whereas we have the tools here now to build those systems.
And I'll add in too, Nick.
Mhm.
We know the tools and we have this knowledge to build these systems. And all these like young kids that the techno-fascists have working for them like know how to work AI, but maybe aren't the strongest at building the systems needed to run the AI. So please be empowered in what you know how to do. AI is only as powerful as the power we give it. If we stop working for the machine that's going to take us down and start working for ourselves and each other, that's how we get out of it. So 100%. And I'll add to that, all of the folks out there that I'm sure, I was one of them while I was still in the States, that thought I was making a big difference, helping my company's DIB councils and employee resource councils be less shitty to minorities. Save your effort, pour that into your community. The corporation isn't going to care. Mine allowed me to get assaulted twice, called the F-slur, physically assaulted, and then fired me because I wasn't well enough to return to work. And I was the co-chair on their Pride Employee Resource Council. So save your breath. Quit trying to make fascists not be fascists. They are. You're not going to change them. Turn towards your community. Share your knowledge and your skills with the people that matter to you, those around you, and those who love you and support you. Those that want to get on board will, once they see that the grass is much greener with us in the happy side where we're all taking care of each other than them trying to knock us all down.
Yeah.
So
You
quick
feel
little
better
plug,
when you're
or
happy.
remember your humanity.
Yeah, like you feel better when you're happy. And most of what we've talked about, yeah, some of it costs money to do, but most of what we've talked about isn't about money. There's no exchange of money. We're not talking about you need to pay other people in your neighborhood. This is a bartering. This is a community system built on
All fair
trust.
trade.
Yeah, and not even
Yeah.
barter. It's like a sharing economy. So if
Yeah.
we can like just completely shift the language to a sharing economy and understand that you don't necessarily have to have capital. You already have resources. Think about all the shit. And I don't want y'all, but if you had basements, think about the shit you have in your basement or in
Or your
garage,
attic.
or in your attic that you know that like somebody else
Fucking in your
needs.
closet.
You know,
How much clothes do you have?
How many men out there have a box full of Ethernet cables and HDMI cables and computer parts that is just
I have, like, 3
sitting
boxes,
in a
yeah.
fucking closet? Yo, dude, use that. You can. I've got like 5 routers. I've got like outdated Eros and like network hubs that I could use. Like if you got them, use them. And just
You have
and
extra
just-
bikes, put them in your yard. Let the kids fucking ride them.
Yeah, put out toys
Yeah.
outside so that kids
Yeah.
have somewhere fun to play. Make yourself a safe place to be. Like my house is a house where kids come to all the time. We've made it that way. We've made it so that my son's best friend feels as comfortable here, actually more comfortable in our house than he does in his home. Because he needs that.
Yeah. No, it's good to have those spaces, but it's so sad to the grief of that is real to me, the grief on the other end. So I'm glad that
And like, you have to make your space, and if that's what you are for your community, be proud of that.
That's your pedal, man. Yeah,
That's your
those are
pedal.
big pedals.
If you're a safe space, if you're a community, let's say, dominated by white folks and you have a minority family in your community and they trust you, that's a good thing.
That's huge.
Continue and build that trust. Maintain that trust. Make it so that more folks want to be around you rather than less, because as you build your community, you get happier, The folks around you get happier. They're less likely to want to commit violence. They're less likely to want to hurt people. They're more likely to want to stand at your side and say, hey, I know this is hurting you. I'm not going to let it happen.
Yes, I want to amplify what you said about like making children welcome and advertising that. It's one of the reasons why the social aspect to parallel systems of support is so important, is because we need to start incorporating play and evidence of play and evidence of life in public spaces, not just in safe houses, but in creating the visible elements and artifacts that children live here and play here, that art lives here and breathes here, because it's actually naturally de-escalating of our nervous systems, and it invites people to want to join that thing. And then one last thing that I will say that just loops back to, I can't see the comments. I again, tech is not my ministry. Like, I'm here, I see my face on the screen, and that's a miracle to me. So
don't worry, I got
so
you.
anyway, so like, if there's a worry about expenses, one of the things that I've learned in studying parallel systems of support and learning from other mentors is that it actually works best when the community relies on their own resources instead of seeking out financial resources or nonprofit grants, because the very act of seeking resources from an outside community, and I'm not saying be insular, but what I'm saying is do not be dispirited by the idea that you are not a cash rich community, because you don't actually need cash to do this. And it's better to pool your own resources together and to share that way than it is to have capital. I'm not saying that capital is useless, but what I am saying is that do not be disempowered by this, because you don't need money to do a single bit of this. So
Yeah,
just need to share.
100% weirdo. You don't need money to start. A lot of us already have an extra bike that we could put in our yard and just be like, you know, free rides, bring it back, right? So like that other people can use it. You can start your gardens today if the weather's nice, tomorrow if it's this weekend, right? If you'd like, totally up to you. You can pick up a harmonica and start learning a little tune and just sit outside on your porch and play for a few minutes every day. And like that, folks will know they can listen to a joyful tune every day for a few minutes.
If you play the
right?
guitar or something like that, do
Yeah.
the same. Sit outside and play music.
And
Yes.
all of the things that we're doing right now is for the outcome. It's not for any income.
Yes.
We have to work on that mindset, okay? Everything that we're doing right now is for a positive outcome. We're not worried about what income is coming in from the acts of service that we're giving for others. These are acts of service, and we're hoping that others give us acts of service in return so that we can continue our acts. We don't all have to do the same thing. We just have to do something.
And it's not charity. There's a big thing that I think that little subtle difference in language you just used is it's acts of service. It's not charity.
Mhm.
Charity is I'm giving you this because I think you need it and I'm going to laud it over you in some way. I'm being better than you. I'm donating you my monies. I am throwing around my wealth to you. Like that's what I imagine rich people talk like when they do shit like that is old British accent. Sorry, British people. Actually, old New England accent, because we have a better British accent than British people do nowadays, because we stayed isolated and we kept a very linguistic British accent of old England compared to what you all have in England. So we're closer to King George in British accents in New England than you are English people. So suck on that.
I don't want anyone to suck on anything, and this is out of my range. So,
this is out of
that. But yeah, no, that's wild though. I enjoy linguistics. I did not know that was a thing.
I got myself on a tangent.
No, it's okay. No, yeah.
I love this discussion though, because this has brought me a lot of like, hopefully for the people in the audience who are with us right now, hopefully this has brought you a good centering point on things you can do. Like these are actionable things you can do really easily where you don't spend money. And that's part of what Banner and Backbone, why I started all of this, was I want to give you a free entry point into civics. Like all of our content is free here on Banner and Backbone. If you want to pay, you can. You don't have to. I'm never going to pay all the content. Reason I do that, especially for things like this, because it's free knowledge. Knowledge is power, and power can be used if you apply it properly. And that power for us is building community. And part of that, like, I have a harmonica, I have a saxophone, I have a piano, I used, everybody heard it at the beginning of this episode. I had a little one playing on the piano, and I didn't stop him. I just turned the volume down while we were going, because music is joyful. I release classical music for a reason. I have music that I play at the beginning of my shows that I've written because I think it's joyful. And if you bring a little bit of that back, you attract people. And though it is an act of, oh, that's what I was getting back to. The act of service versus charity is the act of service in itself rewards you. And it's okay to be okay with that. Like, it's okay at the end of it to go, oh, I feel really good. I feel like I did a good thing, and I'm okay with that. That's part of the hardest part, is admitting to yourself that what you're doing is okay without needing to feel like egotistical about it.
Right. You know, and one of the things about that feel good thing, I read this book and it's at home, and I grieve the fact that I've been living out of 2 suitcases for 8 months now. But there's this book called Joyful Militancy, where it actually talks about how we misunderstand joy as an emotion, because what it actually is a very particular sense of happiness that we get when we come together to do something that we couldn't have done on our own. Isn't that fucking gorgeous?
It's a communal emotion. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so really, parallel systems of support, it's, you know, beyond service is also solidarity, right? And then from that, this sense of joy that you can't get outside of it. And it's okay to feel that joy. And I think that people are actually most afraid in this moment. And I don't know if this is true, but I feel like I get this a lot. People will reach out to me and be like, Weirdo, like, I live in a rural area, and there aren't people in my neighborhood. And I'm like, have you checked? Because I've always lived as a trans person in red states and rural areas. And I refuse to accept that as a permission slip to not get involved, you know, because I just don't think that that's true. But I think that people across the board, no matter where they live, are often very afraid to go be wild people, by which I mean just like literally move outside of the constraints that racial capitalism has set up for you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are afraid of their own whimsy, and it would be really cool if we all just started to embrace our whimsy and sharing it with one another, because that's so fun. Imagine if I were so serious that I refused to share that stitch that I was working on, and y'all didn't get to see some beautiful colors, right? It's a horrible way to live. It eats you up inside. Be whimsical. Share it with those around you. We need more of it, and we need to normalize it so that kids know they can be whimsical and be children, and they don't need to grow up and be a hard fascist like everyone else is around them.
Yes.
Show the kids your whimsy. Let them be whimsical.
Yes, that is so gorgeous. You know, Timothy Snyder says, oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. So sorry. Go ahead.
No, go. I'm done.
No, well, Timothy Snyder says this thing in On Tyranny where he says stand out. And I think that you're right about, like, white supremacy requires you to be a copy of a copy of a copy. And so whimsy is sort of this desire path as an off-ramp to this notion that you have to sacrifice your humanity for conditional protection. So I love that you said that. You know, like, I didn't come on here trying to be obviously a person. I came on here as a Muppet, legitimately. This is a deep quote from Muppets Family Christmas. Your weirdo friends is something that Ma Bear says to Fozzie during Muppets Family Christmas, which is freely available to watch online, and is the best 35 minutes you will ever watch. But especially the careful for the icy patch running joke throughout the entire episode. But anyway, my point here is that, yeah, the whimsy invites people to, and otherwise that their cynicism, which is really just a lack of confidence, whimsy invites them out of cynicism and into agency. All right, I'll shut up now.
I love that. This has also been such a great way to, like, near the close of a show, like, we've been talking for over an hour now. Like, it doesn't feel like it. We're just talking about fun stuff. And I think giving ourselves to permission to still feel joy during the rise of fascism is really important. And
it is the most important.
Yeah, like we've all learned that history lesson about, like, you cannot take joy from us. joy is a communal, like Weirdo, you just said, joy is a communal thing. And if we feel it together, do you know what the opposite of joy is? Shame. Shame is a communal emotion. Guilt is a personal emotion. You feel guilty, but a community shames you. And if you fall outside those parallel systems of support, it's okay that we shame you to get you either back in or to push you away if you need be, because some people do need to be pushed away. But most can be saved if they're offered a real off ramp that allows them to remember their humanity without. And I cannot ask like Jack or Weirdo to forgive certain people. I never would. Never would ask them to allow certain people back into their lives. Just like I won't. Because we have to have a safe wall for ourselves and we have to protect our inner sanctity too. But part of that is reminding ourselves that the opposite end of joy is shame. Not fear, but shame. Because it's communal. It's the only other like major communal emotion. And we need to shame those who are outside of the social norms and have broken the social contracts. And when you create these parallel systems in your communities, you're reforming the social contract with each other. You're saying, I'm a person, you're a person, treat me like one. And that's the social contract you're reapplying. And if somebody wants to continue to fall out of those bounds, you shame them. And then you impose a cost. And that's a different topic of like, how do you impose a cost on a fascist in a legal and peaceful way? And there are plenty of ways to do that. You could sue the shit out of people in America. Like, watch out, fascists, here we come. But like the idea of, for me, for shame is I am trying to start a movement to buy some billboards and do it in targeted districts, especially for folks who try to sit on the sidelines of issues and shame them. Because I would rather see a billboard outside of Steve Womack, representative of Arkansas. I think it's where the second or third district in Arkansas. I don't fucking remember. Is Steve Womack, my representative, would probably feel a lot of shame if billboards started popping up in and around his home that said he protects pedophiles. Because someone in the neighborhood, in his community, who knows him and his family, will ask about it. Will ask because they'll be uncomfortable seeing that. And the social pressures will change. And we can make that community support and that parallel system of shame easier to access where needed. Not as a tool to hurt those who don't need it, but where it is truly needed.
Right.
For those who are enacting the pain.
Exactly. And to take that shame, because the fascists have used the power of shame very smartly in order to try and shame minority communities into submission and into silence and into complacency, and to shame those that claim allyship into silence and submission so they can continue with their fascist agenda, right? Because it's shameful to try and stand up for trans people because the bathroom, whatever, the little kids, meanwhile, they're all pedophile, whatever. But if we actually start using shame as the tool that it is to shame pedophilia, right? Because that's what's shameful in society. All of these social constructs, stigmas that the right has used to other us humans from one another, the color of our skin, the genitals we have in our pants, how we choose to express our gender identity, right? Because those are two different things. Who we love, who we don't love, right? All of these things, that's just basic humanity. All of us have gender. All of us experience sex in some way or another. All of us have skin on our bodies that is whatever shade it is, depending on whoever we popped out of, right? And where we landed on the earth. So if we stop allowing shame to have power over like these little characteristics about us, right? If we're an artist, if we're liberal, if we're conservative, right? Like all these little, who gives a fuck, right? If we shame acts that destroy humanity, like pedophilia and cannibalism, and we shame that, I think we can start. We can stop devolving as quickly as we currently are.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think
Hopefully.
that. Holy shit! Yeah, and I it's really hard for me to process those last two. I mean, I know that. Yeah, yikes. The cannibalism piece is really tough to.
Yeah. But we're not shaming it, and we're like,
no.
I don't mean to cut you off, Weirdo. I want to add a little point for everyone that like, the Epstein files, everything that's being dropped is the evidence. So everyone that's like, oh, now we need to investigate if there's cannibalism happening. No, motherfuckers. Excuse my language, but those files, that is the evidence. What more do you want to watch someone eat someone in front of you? What is going on here? And we need to start being that aggressive when we're talking to people and using the shame of cannibalism is a no-go. That is a line in stone. Yeah. Pedophilia is a no-go, a line in stone. So I don't mean to cut you off, Weirdo, but I kind of wanted to do the cutoff to show everyone in the audience that you're allowed to cut someone off to say something like that, even if it had nothing to do with it. As soon as you hear the Epstein files or anything brought up, you can immediately cut them off and be like, oh, fuck it, and like rage about these two horrible things and shame those two horrible things and be like, I'm so sorry, what were you saying? I just get worked up because pedophilia and cannibalism is bad.
Yeah, and I would interject.
That could be your pedal.
Yeah, and let me interject and say that I wish that people would stop saying pedophilia and start saying the rape of children, because pedophilia is a euphemism used to sane wash what is happening here, frankly.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
that's I'm happy using the right words.
So. Yeah, just because as you can see, the very difference between pedophilia is something that we all whisper about, but the moment you say that person rapes children, boy, does the conversation fucking change. Right?
And you know what? I think you're so right, because we're taking the like that Latin like big word and we're just like putting it in plain English for like you can't argue with, like that's what it is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it takes away the plausible deniability from abusers. And I did want to say about shame, like I'm all for shaming people who are engaged in violence and dehumanization. I did read this thing. And I think that there is a difference between active participants in fascism and in bystanders. And I say this because shame is actually also a personal emotion. It is social, but it actually is information that invites us to consider our own limits. And I read this thing and it was so beautiful that it said that a community's acts of sort of solidarity and community with each other can sometimes induce a person to feel their own shame just by simply providing them with an alternative. And that shame works in on themselves. So that sometimes we need to think about the ways that shame can be operationalized. Sometimes it's not always a direct sort of shot at the bow, but in fact is a practicing of something different, so people realize the poverty of their own life and the shame works on them, and then they want to be involved in a community that is actually life affirming instead of parroting religious scripts to justify fascism while claiming they're pro-life, because I'm so tired of that shit.
Yeah. And for me, like shame, and when I try and be very specific about it, is when I talk about shame, I shame ideas and not personhood, because then I'm no better than they are. Like and I'm still I still have a hard time talking about like, how do we approach folks like Mike Johnson or Lindsey Graham, who potentially are in the closet, but have legislative power and are actively hurting the communities and are actively hurting them. Is it okay to out them? Because outing people is an act of violence. And they're not in the community anymore. Like they remove themselves from that community. So is it okay if we know that they are, can we out them? Like I'm just asking like a true, pure, like.
No, that's a legit question. Let's tag team it.
Let's tag team it. I'm speaking for myself. uh, uh, I am a pansexual trans man, just as a background, so everyone in the audience knows what glasses I'm wearing and how I see the world, right? Um, I think that if I did see some video of someone walking past Lindsey Graham, and I believe it was a queer creator, and they were like, "Hey, Lindsey, why don't you just come? Why don't you just come out and quit killing people? Like, it's okay." And it was like, it was someone who was part of the community, not trying to out him, but just being like, "Hey, it's a safe space. You can come out and quit killing people to try and cover it up." They weren't outing him, but just kind of like putting it out there and just being like, "Hey, it's okay if you need to do this so you can quit killing us. We won't hate you for it." But I don't like outing people in general. What is the purpose of outing them? Is it to like make the community better? Is it to inflict harm on them? Because then that's very malicious too. So like, it's a hard thing. But then also, if we treat it in a way, where I'd love to hear your perspective on this. If we continue to allow outing someone to have the power of ruining their life, doesn't that mean that we allow society to continue to perpetuate the myth that being gay or trans is the end of your life?
My dude, that is such a good question. And
that's what I'm afraid of. Sorry to cut you off. That's
right.
what I'm afraid if I do it,
is
I turn into that person that enables it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm going to be like I'm going to be the rhetorical hinge here. So I think that one of the ways to do this is to amplify the voices of both trans and queer content creators who are doing the rhetorical work of calling in these people who have experienced being shamed by a bigoted society, and then have thought, I will, you know what I'll do? I will be ashamed of my difference and I will cozy up to white supremacy, and I will then become indispensable, right? And so we've seen this with Stephen Miller's own family members being like, my dude, you are somebody who fled, your family fled here, right? And also like JD Vance, I am frankly, as someone who has like Lenape kin, I find myself very pissed off all the time when people are like, oh, these people are immigrants. JD Vance is a fucking immigrant. Unless you were here on Turtle Island, your ass is an immigrant. Yikes. Anyway, but my point here is that, like, I mean, just yikes on bikes with the audacity with that. But what I would say is that I think that it can be that there are always going to be like queer and trans voices who are doing the work of pointing out people like Lindsey Graham or pointing out people like Mike Johnson, because the thing that is shameful about what they're doing is not their orientation. It's no one's gender identity. It's no one's it's none of that. It's the way in which
white supremacy.
That they have sold out their own authentic experience of life and living it, and have sought to stifle the lives of other marginalized people so that they would feel conditionally more safe and become a mascot to brutality.
100%. And I do think I know we've gone over, Nick. I don't mean to
no, I love this. Thank you. I asked the question, and I really want your both insights on this, because it's important.
And I think that's one of the main reasons why trans people scare the conservatives in this country so much, is because we have chosen to just live authentically as ourselves. And we have actively taken steps that are expensive, hard to navigate, painful, in order to now live comfortably in our skin and in our true selves. And they're just so chicken shit that they can't do it. And it has to be all of our problem that they're so chicken shit, instead of just, taking a deep breath and living their true selves.
Thank you both for that, because I really try and be cautious on it. But at the same time, like, it's like, I'll take Josh Hawley, because he's from Missouri. He's just north of us. And he came out and said, oh, if I'm a Christian nationalist, I guess I am. That's what you're calling me. I guess I am. I've seen that individual kiss his partner. I've never seen a man kiss a woman like that without them hiding something about themselves. And it's not that he's gay that's the problem. Come out, dude. It's a safe place. Like, I want
Yeah,
you to
who
be happy,
cares?
bro. Like, live your life. That's what I want. I want you to live your life free and happy and not in a lie, because you're hurting that woman if you are gay, and you're hurting yourself because you're hurting everybody else around you. Like, you're just spewing hatred because you don't know how to talk. You don't know how to go to therapy. You don't know
Yeah.
how to just emote properly. Like, learn some basic human dignity and standards, and we can get past that. Because Josh Hawley, you're just a bad person. That's what it is. It's You're a bad person because you're a Christian nationalist. Point blank, period. You're a bigot and you're racist and you hide who you truly are and you hurt other people in the process. That's what makes you a bad person.
I
If you
did not.
came out, you would be happy. Like, there's a reason the word gay also means happy. Gayness is happiness. Like, come out, dude, because you would just be happier to accept yourself. Like, and it's
It's
scary.
exhausting having that like internalized
Yeah.
homophobia,
Like,
internalized hatred. Like, how can you
you
go?
turn
Like, it's so hard
ugly.
to hate others. Imagine like hating yourself too. On top of that, ugh.
Like, look at
Right.
Stephen Miller. Look at
Yeah.
Stephen Miller as a human being. He's a person I like to make fun of a lot. I give this man shit because he looks as ugly as he emotes. He looks as ugly as he acts. I call him a smegomaniac. It's that yeast. It's a yeast infection at the tip of a
So,
penis that's uncleaned.
so I hear
Like,
you say this all the time, Nick. And as a
yes,
nurse, I have noticed how white his tongue is. It's very yeasty.
very yeasty.
Smeg is a great nickname for this clown.
Yeah. I have a friend who owns the website or the URL smeglomaniac.com. So
Can we
just
just
saying, we may
reroute
have
it?
a fan page out about the Smeglomaniac at some point. Um, but like, that's why I talk about him that way. And these demeaning terms when I talk about him, it's about the ugliness. Like, he wouldn't look like an uncircumcised penis walking around if he wasn't so ugly, if he wasn't so hateful, if he wasn't such a bigot or
You know
hate
what?
himself, he
You're
would
right,
look
Nick.
prettier.
You're right, because he would have a gay friend to be like, dude, grow your beard out, quit with the Nazi shit, right? And like, let's go see
Hmm.
the sun. Let's go look at the sun outside. Like,
Yeah,
but he
like,
have
polish your
friends like that
head,
around him.
put some
Yeah. Put
sunscreen
some
on,
lotion
like,
on.
get a tan. You're Jewish, man. You can get tan. Your family's from the Middle East originally. Like, your story is literally the same as my family's. Literally the same story. From
Yeah.
Belarus, came over before World War One during the Bolshevik revolutions. We were kicked out. We just stayed in New York instead of going to Pennsylvania. Your family was better off than mine. They made a thriving community business that turned into a national chain. Like, you you have a family that did something beautiful for its community, and you, Stephen Miller, shit on that. You took a big old dump on your family's legacy, and everyone in your family has disowned you for it. And that's because you refuse to live in a society and feel shame for the things that are, or nobody has shamed you enough for the things that are shameful.
Mm.
Um, and I know we got a little off topic, but I hate Stephen Miller. I have to attack that man every time I can because screw that dude. Like, he's a
Yeah.
piece of poop.
Yeah. I mean, I think as somebody who, because I am someone who is frequently clocked as somebody who cannot express direct anger and insult, that because those means of persuasion are not always available to me, like I can literally make an observation and become, unfold into a monster in front of somebody. But I think about all the other ways that you can also like socially sanction people, right, and induce and create a sense of shame and rejection in them. I think about the way that Stephen Miller's community chalked outside of his house to say, look, we see you, we see what you're doing, because these people are also cowards when it comes to the process of peer review of actual human beings and their lives that are showing them and mirroring back to them the impact of the things that they're doing. And I think that that is, you can also get a lot more people on board in inducing that kind of shame. I would argue that that is also behind the choirs that are standing outside of, which I think is brilliant, of detention centers and law enforcement precincts. It's a way to invite people back into community and to use a beautiful mechanism to induce another person to experience their own shame. And I'm not saying, I think that Stephen Miller may be in many ways above that or beyond that. I think he's probably so far gone because he has tied his horse to hatefulness in a way that he really feels like there is no off ramp for him. And the thing about these sort of dark triad types of individuals is they always try to pull people in with them by widening the circle of cruelty. And so I'm not saying don't insult, because there are some times where I am not saying that. But what I'm saying is that we have an array of tools to induce shame, induce people to experience their own shame or to recognize the absence of it and the absence of feeling, which is itself a destabilizing experience to realize that you are profoundly disconnected from community. And so yeah, there are ways to put pressure on people in these moments. So for me, I think because I have not had the luxury of telling people what's on my mind, I can find other ways. But I'm saying that, like, people who have that luxury ought to use it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the places where I can use the privilege I have. Mm-hmm. People aren't going to tell me to shut up. Mm-hmm. I'm a straight passing white dude. Like, I'm pan because heart's not parts. Like, I don't give a shit. And I'm happily married to my wife of almost 11 years now. And we've got a beautiful family. And I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of the life I have. And nobody can tell me to shut up. I'm in a very protected class in a lot of ways. I am a disabled veteran. I'm white. I am not the poorest person in the world. I mean, I'm not financially super stable right now. I'm starting 2 media businesses and lost my really good tech job 6 months ago. So anybody who wants to support me financially, please come become a paid subscriber at Banner and Backbone or Sick of This Shit Publications. I'll take your money. And I'll use it well. Is because I have that privilege. I get to use that privilege. And that's one of those privileges I can use that hopefully doesn't create friction towards communities that don't have that privilege, which is why when I'm very specific in who I target at and who I talk about, and I keep my focus on certain people, but it's always my background focus in all of this is how do I do it so that we all get through? Right. Not so I hurt the least amount of people, but how do we all get through? I don't want anyone else hurt.
Right.
And I'm going to close this out finally after an hour and a half. We've had a really great discussion. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you. And I cannot wait for next week to talk to you again. Do you want to do this weekly?
Yeah.
And we just start building these conversations. And anyone in the chat, feel free to ask questions too and send comments and feedback because I want it. Like, I want to be able to grow and help these and actually give everybody the tools they need to start building these parallel systems like yesterday. And I know it's cold, so don't go grow a garden right now, but you can do other things. You could get an indoor garden ready. So start what you can. And then, like I said earlier, now that we're getting to a close, I'm going to let Weirdo and Jack promote themselves. I don't use sell yourself anymore. I'm fixing that one because that one's pretty weird. But I want you guys to shamelessly plug and promote yourselves for what you're doing, how people can find you. And you're going to be here on Banner and Backbone, both of you, because I value both of what you're doing and I value your friendships. And I want to make sure that we can continue these for everybody and that everybody has these tools. So starting with you, Weirdo, shamelessly plug yourself.
Oh my God. So, I'm on here as your weirdo friend. I'm trying to create a sort of little nest of cluster of social medias. It'll be always be at your weirdo friend, I think that my writing style is unique enough that you would be able to recognize a counterfeit because I certainly don't use AI, and there's a lot of unexpected metaphors in my shit, right? So I might be moving off of Substack into more federated spaces. But while I'm here, I'm at your weirdo friend. I am currently looking for a space to a federated blog so that I can host my long form writing there. So, but yeah, I'm just your random community college teacher who is happy to help.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. And as long as you're on Substack, even if you're not on Substack, you don't
You
have to
can
be on
still
Substack
invite
to be
me.
part of these conversations.
You can still invite me. Right.
Yeah, because I host them separately. That's the whole part. I even
Yeah.
noticed that I didn't even accept the invite myself for my own show. I don't even remember if I invited myself to this one outside of Banner and Backbone.
That's so
I screwed
funny.
this all up. But that's the cool thing about all of this is Substack. Weirdo doesn't have to be on it to be a part of
Mhm.
the Banner and Backbone community and to get this message out and to sell and share these systems, not sell, but provide these tools and systems for others to
Proliferate.
be able to learn on, proliferate, expand upon, expound on.
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to use my English. I'm going to be a thesaurus for a moment. So thank you, Weirdo. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it. And this is awesome. Jack, how about you, my friend?
Hey, so I'm Jack. You can find me on Substack. I think what is it like Jack 1011? I think something silly.
I think so.
Yeah. But I am one of, I'm sure, many refugees that had to flee the U.S. Because of this regime. If anyone out there, I don't do my own shows or anything like that. I'm more than happy to hop on anyone's if anyone feels like having a conversation with someone who had to make a plan and activate it to flee the US because of physical danger, true physical danger because of this administration. I've not really spoken about this much. Happy to do it if anyone wants to talk about it. Happy to share my experience and what we could do to learn to move forward better as humans who take care of each other.
And thank you, Jack. That was beautiful. And there was a question in the chat from a friend in the community, Joe. Substack isn't problematic yet, but it may become problematic in the future because it is owned by Mark Andreessen, who is part of the techno-fascist technocracy, and because it is already actively suppressing voices and suppressing content. And so part of what we're doing in the end too is trying to build those systems so that we have our own new media sphere that isn't part of the technocracy and isn't tracing us and stealing our data and selling our locations and outing us to people that we don't want to be outed to in any way. We want to make this safe for everybody, because I want it safe for me. Like, it's selfish, but it's also useful for the community. It's okay to be a little selfish because these tools help you too.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
the
gonna
stairs
put a plug
and the
out there.
ramp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
go
gonna put
ahead,
a plug
Jack.
out there. So we are the three people you see on the screen here are part of the queer elders in the United States. It's not a huge title, I promise. It's not scary for my friends who I sprung this on, but I know that I missed out on having queer elders. Guys, I'm 36 now, 37 soon. I lost a lot of the elders because of the AIDS epidemic, right? So I didn't have anyone to look up to let me know that it was okay for me to be pan. It was okay for me to be trans. It was okay for me to be whimsical and have fun and only be 5 feet tall. And that's okay. I'm still a cool dude, right? I didn't have that. I would stress to everyone to be that for their community, right? Because being a queer person doesn't necessarily mean you have to be gay or bisexual or anything. It just means you have to step outside of white supremacy and be okay with your own whimsy, and you can be an ally to the community, and you can, if you don't feel comfortable yourself spreading the knowledge, find someone who does, right? Learn, be the elders.
And amplify
you don't
the
have the
actual
excuse.
voices.
And befriend the actual voice, for sure. Be the elders, and your weaponized incompetence is no longer an excuse. If you don't understand something, please pick up a book and read.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And
not
also,
to you two on the screen, just to like everyone in.
Well, even
large.
for me, like I've picked up so many books at this point. What I've found is the difference between a progressive and a libertarian is that progressives read books. A libertarian is a progressive who hasn't read enough books because they're partway there. They're partway there. They just don't realize how to be like social and sociable. They've gotten part of it. Like, I want to build a parallel system in my community, and I like all these cool, amazing things, and stay out of my life and get away from me. And you don't need to be touching and talking about my thing, and hands off all my stuff. And yeah, until it comes to everybody else, because they haven't read any books. So they're us, just not with enough knowledge.
Except for
so
Ayn
be
Rand,
the knowledge.
right?
Except for Ayn Rand. Yeah, Ayn Rand is a special case. Like,
I'm just saying
something happened there.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that, like, there are people who, And I have to say also is that I think I am actually elder on this conversation, which is so freaking sad to me. I'm 46 whole years old. And I remember the first time that someone, an adult of mine, referred to me as a trans elder, and I cried because I was in my 40s. And I thought, no, I cried not because I have an age complex, but because I know what it is like to move through space, having never had an elder in my life that I could navigate the world through. And that doesn't mean that they weren't there, but trans people are so atomized. And, I think that that's why it's really, really important to understand that to be an ally means actually being in community with queer and trans people. You cannot just slap a label on the outside of yourself and then say that you are immune from all blunders because you are an ally. To practice actually being an ally requires action and curiosity about how what you're doing is received. Do not punish people for correction, for setting boundaries.
Yep.
That's beautiful. And also, thanks for saying that I'm an elder. That's the first time I've ever been called that. I don't know how I feel about being called an elder just in general, because I'm also 36. I just turned 36. Like,
embrace it. You've got almost 4 decades of knowledge that your kids don't have to spread good, positive joy into the world. We need to be okay with it. We're not young anymore, guys. Sorry, millennials. And we're oh gosh, not calling you ancient, but as the token Gen X in the room, we're not young anymore.
Yeah, no, listen.
We gotta,
I
be
am not
cool to be like, we're not like cool Gen Zs, like everything's a vibe. Like, no, we gotta we're good.
No, I'm vintage, baby. I'm B-sides on some vinyl record, and I'm fine with that. Like,
listen, we're 2 seasons away from like Faded Jeans coming back. I know I still got a pair in my closet somewhere.
Oh, I got some too.
Jeans anymore. I don't want to wear jeans.
Yeah, I don't want to wear jeans. Can we bring corduroys back instead? Like, cords are so much more comfortable.
We can always bring them back. We don't need permission from capitalism.
Oh, I still do. I still do.
Yeah, corduroys and the Carpenters. That's 2026.
Heck yeah. Overalls. Shirtless overalls.
I actually bought my first pair of overalls yesterday. I was going to put them on for this call, but maybe next week.
Excellent.
You should. Excellent. Hey, thanks everyone for being here with us. Next week we'll be a little more squared away with it. It'll actually have all our names and hosts on the top on Substack side. Weirdo is the only one who seemed to accept, so good on you, Weirdo.
Oh my God. Well, look, I did one technological thing right after
you did. It's amazing. Thank you.
Take the win.
Hey,
there we go.
Thanks everyone for being with us. Try and have a great weekend. Go listen to something positive. Go step outside, get off Substack for a little while. Go say hi to a neighbor. Go pull out a harmonica. If you got one, go play music outside for 20 minutes. People will enjoy it. I'm going to go do that. I've got one in my humidor that my dad made me, and I'm going to go play my harmonica for a little bit.
Sweet.
So go do it, y'all. Go have some fun. Thanks, you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
us.
everyone, for being with us. We'll see y'all next week.